Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Mark Bergen. The Triangle's growth is mirrored by the developing tech and startup scene. That growth is showcased each year as part of Raleigh-Durham Startup Week. The free event features workshops, networking, and more. It runs from April 7th through the 11th. Huie is the director of the Entrepreneurship Clinic at NC State. She helps organize with the preparation of Raleigh-Durham Startup Week. I spoke with Huie about how there's something for everyone at this year's event. Haley, thank you for joining. I want to start with how you first got involved in this event that's been going on for years here in the Triangle.
Yeah, so I have been involved with Raleigh-Durham Startup Week for about 3 years now. It has been exciting. It's been a roller coaster. A lot of my role at NC State is a bridge between really talented students and the real world. So creating a great talent pipeline, creating real value, plugging students in on startups. And so peeling back that curtain, they're creating strategy projects. That directly led me to the awesome folks who were conceiving of and planning Raleigh-Durham Startup Week. So I came in first as a speaker on a panel. I loved it. I was hooked. I couldn't wait to get to know more about it. And Chris Hidley, one of the co-creators of this, along with Archie Pugh O'Connor, approached me just to say, hey, would you be willing to come on as a leader in the group and help create something that we called Startup 101 as a content track? And the rest is history. Just having worked with years of growing that and now moving into a co-chair role, I just think it's the best time of the year.
Yeah, Raleigh-Durham Startup Week is going to be April 7th through the 11th. For listeners or someone watching this conversation, Haley, someone who might not be familiar with the event, can you give me a brief overview of what the event and what the week is all about and the importance to the Triangle?
Yeah, so I think the important thing to know is this is not just an event. This is not just a panel or a workshop. This is essentially a week-long celebration of all the awesome things going on in our ecosystem. And the way that we do that is that we provide awesome networking opportunities. We are going to create things like investor office hours, legal office hours to create real kind of matching of experts and then people building things here locally. We have many people fly in for this event, either as speakers, attendees, you name it. So it's a really exciting point of activation across our ecosystem. We're bringing together all these amazing support organizations out there in the community. Our startup community, people travel here from across the state as well for this event, which is really exciting to see. But it's a mixture of hear from experts, discuss stories with panels, get to know people who are going to create real value and help you solve problems. But a fun thing that we've added over the last 2 years has been more job seeker activity. So job seeker brunches and networking tracks and just a way to create those amazing connections that then you take on and cultivate for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and the event is free, so we'll make sure that information is provided in the story and in the show notes if you're watching or listening to the podcast of how to register in advance for the event. You mentioned people flying here, coming here for the event. How has it changed over the years from where it is in 2025 compared to when it first started?
Yeah, originally it was awesome. And, there were a few hundred people who came in for this. And I think, still it was a big draw for talent. Both of local builders were intentionally very founder focused. But I think it's really grown to support, other members of the team as you're expanding, scaling, a really strong path to investors in our area who want to give back and want to make connections and understand what's going on. Now we have grown exponentially. We keep having, we joke on our team sometimes as high-class problems where we have to keep upgrading our software to handle the number of members and attendees that now want to sign up. So, we as a team are solving new problems every year. But, right now we've got really solid plans in place. People are registering every single day. This is going to be our biggest event yet. So I think just much more far-reaching activation of other people learning more about what's going on in our ecosystem. So instead of it being more of an insular celebration here across Raleigh-Durham Triangle, I think it's just grown so much as our region continues to grow. And I think that's amazing for us as well.
Do you have an estimation on how many people you're expecting?
Yeah, I think we'll probably see up to, 2,500 attendees. So that's grown a lot from a few hundred. We're kind of leapfrogging over prior years. So, we shall see. But I think this is also an encouragement for everybody to come out and come check it out for themselves, because that's when the magic happens. And don't just come to one day, come to as much as you can.
So I'm sure you've seen success stories in previous years of people connecting together and coming together for this event. I promise I won't make you choose just one. It's almost like picking a favorite child. But is there a success story that stands out to you when you think about Raleigh-Durham Startup Week?
You know, it's really hard to choose one. I think you're exactly right. I can't choose a favorite child, but I think the general story that I'll share is you make amazing connections. So seeing an early stage founder who is able to build community from something that can feel a little bit isolating, or you're solving really hard problems. They come into Raleigh-Durham Startup Week and they meet other amazing founders, they meet other amazing investors, they meet strategic partners or people that can help them with their strategy. I actually think one person I might pick on is Brandon Kashani, the founder of Trackit. Brandon does work here locally. He's at Pullen Park, providing an Explore Band experience and with checkerboards and scannable QR codes that create educational environments. Brandon came as a very early stage founder in one of the first years. He had an uphill climb to scale his startup. He's grown that. He has hired up. He's had to solve different problems over the life cycle. So every year he gets something new out of the event. You can kind of grow with the event or all of the sessions that are going on. And now he's back as actually a track co-captain in the strategy track because he has developed such a strong network here locally. He's helping bring in other people from around the state and even, senior executives from SaaS coming in to plug into the experience as now a speaker. So I think it's just a really great way to engage a lot of the really talented business leaders we have here locally and certainly around the country. And yeah, that is a clear founder story of, now able to invite in other amazing speakers so that they help somebody who's sitting where they were 2 years ago.
What's that like for you to see, given your role as a connector in your role at NC State? What's that like for you to see that growth firsthand?
Oh, it's so exciting. I mean, I love to flag all of the NC State founders we have sitting on panels, delivering content, sitting on the other side of the table as an investor. A lot of our work in the entrepreneurship clinic is to provide real world practical experiences for our students. And that means immersing them in the local ecosystem, right? We're, again, the bridge off campus and into exciting careers. To see this event grow, I think just has such a positive story. It's inspirational. Our students come to the events as well. So I think it tracks the growth of our region. And that is very exciting. It's awesome to see, everyone from a local nonprofit to the universities plugging in different ways.
Yeah, and I see that bridge here between the Triangle universities and the growing tech industry here in the Triangle. You've lived in other places other than Raleigh. I was doing some research in advance of this conversation. I know you've spent time in San Francisco. I know you've also spent time in Washington, D.C. How does the Triangle compared to other places you've lived in the growing tech community?
Every city, every major market has such a different flavor or its own unique culture. I will brag on this region because I think this is by far the best, most inclusive, most intentional. There's so much activity going on in Silicon Valley and New York and some of these other markets, which is really exciting. I love the tech scene in Austin. I think different parts of the country present different opportunities. I was blown away when coming back to the Triangle, though, at both how friendly, approachable, helpful, and they meant it, that a lot of our founders, investors, and mentors are here across the Triangle. I think this event fits the spirit of that culture, this homegrown, your helpful neighbor. I think, the tech y'all hashtag is just a fun nod to the flavor of this group. And I definitely see the same level of talent. I think we're working on seeing the same level of investment activity. But yeah, there's just a secret sauce here across the Triangle that I'm really excited about.
Let's take a quick break. This is going to be a two-part question. I'll ask this one at a time. I'm going to go glass half empty, then glass half full. What's the biggest challenge of having to put on this event each year?
Oh gosh, I think the challenge really is that it is an all volunteer crew. Everyone is here as a volunteer. We're intentionally kind of non-hierarchical. We all have a post. We all work together. So I just think, bandwidth is a challenge, and especially with all volunteer crews, every year we're out fundraising and hoping to connect with others that want to support this style event. So I think that will be a perennial challenge. That's kind of the hard stuff, but it leads us to all the good stuff related to, the interactions and activation we see at the event.
That's a perfect segue. What's your favorite part about hosting the event each year?
Oh, yeah. It's totally these impact stories. You go to a happy hour after a day full of programming and, just hearing about how people have made connections that are going to change their trajectory for what they're working on, or they've learned something new, or they've connected in real life with somebody that they see online or they've heard about before. So I think it's the human to human connection. It's about developing skills, developing networks. but it's also just about like lifting and inspiring the community. I think that is the best stuff. You leave a week like this and you say, I don't think I could wait a whole year. So I think what we as a group next have to do, like what's in the future for us, is even more year-round programs. How do we extend that same energy beyond just April? And I think, there's limitless opportunity to grow and expand it. I think the more we begin to grow what we're doing throughout the week and then throughout the year, we'll reach even more people.
All right, so let's do a little bit of role play here. If I'm an aspiring entrepreneur or wanting to get into the entrepreneurial space, and I asked you and said, Haley, I'm on the fence. Should I go to this event? What would you tell that person about selling them and saying, hey, this is absolutely something that you should attend?
Oh yeah. I mean, my advice is run, don't balk. You should sign up today. There's no reason. And again, being intentionally free, making sure that we provide this amazing thing at no cost. It's the cost of your time, right? And we're all very busy. So I think that's the barrier that some people face is, they're busy. It's hard to be someplace in real life. There's just no question the tremendous value you get out of growing your own network, learning new things, making new connections. I have met founders that I've been able to plug student teams from NC State in on the exciting things that they're working on in the health tech space and B2B SaaS, you name it. Sometimes those things grow into great job opportunities, right? And I think there are just so many different ways to count the value or impact of something like this.
So it sounds like whether there's someone who's just starting their career or trying to become a founder or trying to link up with founders, it sounds like to me, just based on this conversation, if I'm putting words in your mouth, I don't mean to, but there's just different levels to where everyone's at. Do I have that? Do I have that right? That there just seems to be so many different levels to all of this.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is not just an event for somebody who's just starting out. This is incredibly helpful for leaders of large organizations. We focus on people, on product, on strategy, on marketing, on all of this like growth opportunity. I think there's so many different pieces of content going on. There are fireside chats going on with like really successful entrepreneurs and builders from our region. I think it's amazing. I think there's no single profile that this event is built for, and that's intentionally so. There's something in it for everybody. I would encourage people who are interested to check out the agenda. We have loaded so much info onto our website and into the app about the different speakers and sessions. Sign up early so that we know who we're expecting. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This is not just for founders starting out. This is absolutely for anyone. It is not just founders, it's builders of teams and products, you name it.
Based on the feedback you've gotten from others who have attended this event in years past, are there any misconceptions that they've shared with you of, hey, I thought it was going to be this going in, but it was actually something else in terms of what they got out of attending?
Yeah, I think sometimes if you're a first-time attendee, and I was myself a long time ago, you think you're just going to an event. I'm going to go sit in a seat. I'm going to passively listen to other people just drop amazing bits of knowledge on me. And certainly there is that. You could go and you could take part in that. I think the network creation, though, and like those beneficial collisions that you have human to human or company to service provider, you name it, those are actually the things that end up surprising people of just how joyful the experience is, of how many people are bought in and want to help lift the region as a whole. I think those are the things that keep people coming back for multiple days. Maybe somebody planned on coming in for a session or a day, and suddenly they're like, I got to clear my day tomorrow. I need to be back for this. So I think that probably is a great indicator. We need more of that. But that has also led us, when this has started, it started as a smaller event. It was 2 or 3 days, and now it's expanded into a full week. I think every year we continue to see that incremental growth.
Are there any trends, whether it's Raleigh, Durham, the Triangle whole, North Carolina as a whole, that you've seen in the startup scene that is going to be honed in and focused on and reflected in the programming for this year's event?
Oh gosh. I mean, yeah, there's seismic shifts every day in industry and technology, things like that. There's intentionally been a lot more discussion around AI. What does that even mean? How's that relevant? That's going to be a big topic. And that is a thread through all tracks, right? I think an intense focus on growing revenue, on how to plan for a changing world. Like you see those threads. We have a revenue track, we have a product track, we have strategy. You're going to see those topics reflected in all of those. Our job is to correctly, kind of read the room, understand what people want, and then build amazing content. But we also do that because we have a network of wonderful volunteer organizers in this that are doing exciting things in their own startups every day. So that immediately says that we're setting the deck with the right content, talking to people about what they want to see in future years. We welcome the feedback and we respond directly with trying to, raise the bar every year.
Yeah, and this is just my 2 cents worth with AI. I know a lot of people, what is it, how to use it, but there's so many different use cases. I think we're still just at the tip of the iceberg of how it's used, regardless of what business you have, what service you provide. And again, this is just my opinion. There's concern there of, well, could it replace jobs? I'm of the thought process where it's like, okay, you're not going to be replaced outright by AI, but you could be replaced by someone who understands how to use AI and understands it.
That's right. I mean, we're the tip of the iceberg. I think we have so many talented people that have such different perspectives, vantage points, interactions with how this technology is evolving. And you see a mix of a lot of different startups that directly touch this. You also have product leaders at Google that are also going to be speaking on this. You've got real industry leadership. You've got the co-founder of Techstars coming in to lead, one of the day kickoff chats with our keynotes. You just have people that have done so many exciting things in their careers. We want to hear their advice. We want to know what they're thinking about. I think that's part of this exploration too, is not just concretely understanding what AI product should I be adopting, but like, how's the world changing? What should I be thinking about relative to growing my own concept?
Absolutely. I want to leave you with this last question. What would be one piece of advice you have to someone who is attending this event for the very first time? Again, April 7th through the 11th.
Yeah. I mean, I think anytime you think of an event of this scale, I always say to have a game plan, but be open. I think it's really helpful to think of what you want to get out of the event, to go ahead and look at the agenda, to select the things that are going to be of highest value to you, but then be open because you're going to meet amazing people who are going to then pull you into another session or, show up to the happy hours, like go for the early morning coffees. I think it's as much, again, about activating the networks and activating the region. So, don't be rigid. Come in, I think, and check out the things that you are most excited about, and then maybe be along for the ride for a few others that you just find along the way.
Thank you to Haley Huie. If you've listened to this podcast on WRAL.com or on the WRAL News app, you can find it in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Follow the show so you don't miss an episode. I'm Mark Bergen. Thank you for listening.